Welcome to the Revenue Accounting Matters Step-by-Step Training course. Module 6, Other Considerations, is the final course in a series of 6. Click Next to begin. By the end of this course, you will be able to assess revenue recognition in a bill and hold arrangement, identify whether a party is acting as a principal or an agent, and describe key considerations for the disclosures required by ASC 606. Now that we have applied the 5 steps of the 606 framework in previous modules, let's take a look at several other key considerations in the revenue standard. In this module, we will review the guidance for bill and hold arrangements, principal versus agent considerations, and required disclosures. Under previous U.S. GAAP and SEC guidance, certain criteria had to be met in order for a vendor to recognize revenue associated with a product subject to a bill and hold arrangement. ASC 606 also includes specific criteria for revenue recognition in these arrangements, but the criteria have changed slightly. While many arrangements may have similar outcomes under the new guidance, the accounting may change in certain circumstances. There are 2 key differences between the old and new bill and hold guidance. First, there is no longer a requirement for the vendor to have a fixed delivery schedule from the customer in order to recognize revenue. And second, there is no longer a requirement that the customer be the party to initiate the bill and hold arrangement. However, in all cases, entities must apply the basic 5-step model for recognizing revenue in addition to meeting the specific criteria for bill and hold arrangements. Further, agreements that lack a fixed delivery schedule or that the customer did not initiate may in fact lack a substantive business purpose. If the arrangement lacks substance, revenue recognition on a bill and hold basis would be precluded. Click on Durables Inc. to walk through an example of bill and hold arrangements. Review the facts about Durables Inc. When done, answer the question using the facts you've learned.
The question is, how should Durables Inc. recognize revenue for this transaction? The correct answer is B. There are 3 performance obligations. So part of the revenue should be deferred for the custodial services.
Now that you have read the facts and answered the question, let's review the case for a better understanding. In some cases, there is more than one party to an arrangement, in which case an entity must perform a principal-agent analysis to determine whether it should present revenue and related costs on a gross basis or on a net basis. Overall, an entity is a principal if it controls the specified good or service before that good or service is transferred to a customer. The standard provides certain indicators to assist with the evaluation, but there are no bright lines, and this assessment can be highly judgmental. Click on Easy Travel to review the facts and work through an example. Review the facts about Easy Travel. When done, answer the question using the facts you've learned.
The question is, which of the following factors should Easy Travel not consider in determining whether it is acting as a principal or as an agent? The correct answer is B. The amount of profit or resale value is irrelevant to the determination. All others would be considered relevant. The next question is Easy Travel acting as a principal or as an agent? The correct answer is principal. Please take a moment to pause the video and read through that rationalization that's on your screen now.
The objective of the disclosure requirements in ASC 606 is for an entity to disclose sufficient information to enable users of financial statements to understand the nature, amount, timing, and uncertainty of revenue and cash flows arising from contracts with customers. To achieve that objective, an entity shall disclose qualitative and quantitative information about all of the following: its contracts with customers, the significant judgments and changes in the judgments made in applying the revenue guidance to those contracts, and assets recognized in respect of costs of obtaining contracts and in fulfilling contracts. The table shown here summarizes some of the key disclosures required under the new standard. This list is not all-inclusive. The standard specifically states that entities must consider the level of detail that is necessary to satisfy the disclosure objective and the emphasis to be placed on each disclosure requirement. The purpose is to ensure that the information that readers will find useful is not obscured by a large amount of insignificant detail, and that items with sufficiently different characteristics are disaggregated and presented separately. It is important to note also that certain disclosures are required for public companies, but are optional for private entities. Review the table to learn about each of the disclosure types. Now that you have completed the course, you should be able to assess revenue recognition in a bill and hold arrangement, identify whether a party is acting as a principal or an agent, and describe key considerations for the disclosures required by ASC 606. Now that you have applied the 5-step model for revenue recognition and have identified related considerations in the 6 modules of this course, you will be prepared to apply this framework to actual customer arrangements. When assessing contracts, it's important to understand all of the relevant terms, facts, and circumstances. It's also critical to identify and correctly characterize all of the promises, as well as all elements of transaction price, in order to properly apply the revenue accounting model. Application of professional judgment will be required for most contracts, and clear documentation of those judgments is key to supporting revenue conclusions.
So let's wrap up there. Comment with any additional questions you may have, and we can expand and help. Please subscribe so you don't miss any new content. Alright folks, thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you can, donate at Patreon. Anything you can give helps to keep the lights on and ensures we can continue to create content. And of course, helps feed FIFO. If you want to contact us about anything you saw in this video, accounting advice, or ideas for future videos, contact us at patreon.com/accountingacademy.
This video is designed to be illustrative and does not represent an official position. We make no representations, warranties, or guarantees and assume no responsibility for the application of this material. Please seek advice from a competent professional if expert assistance is required.